So let's go ahead and get started. Again, thank you for coming out. Welcome to the TAPP interest meeting. Just some information about the TAPP intake team. These are the people who are going to help you come into the TAPP program. So we have our Director of Professional Development, and that's our TAPP Director. We have Dr. Gloria Duncan. So she runs the Professional Learning Center and is over the TAPP program entirely. Then we have our Professional Learning Coordinating Supervisors, and they also work with the TAPP intake team to help bring our qualified candidates into the TAPP program and into classrooms. Then on the right side, you see our TAPP intake specialists. So Dr. Sean Antonetti, and that's myself. So I will be facilitating the meeting today. And we also have Mr. Daniel Lee, and he is also on this meeting with us. So we will be answering questions as we go through the presentation. And also we have our TAPP Administrative Assistant, Ms. Teresa Marshall. She is someone that you will get to know very well on your journey to applying successfully to TAPP. She is the go-between, and she has all the information that you will need. So she will also be in the chat box to help you out if you have any questions. So Clayton County TAPP. So what is Clayton County TAPP? So the TAPP program is a program that is seeking individuals who want to make a difference in children's lives. Our district is a high performance district, and we want all of our students to be able to live and compete in a global society. So we want teachers that can help our students to reach that goal. So we want you to be able to empower our students to achieve their personal goals. With the TAPP program, there's no previous education coursework or experience required for entry. And we're going to talk a little bit more as we move on in our presentation. So while you think about the TAPP program, I want you to keep these things in mind. So thinking about, is TAPP for you? So you can see on the screen the ideal candidate for the TAPP program would be a graduate of an accredited college or university with at least a bachelor's degree, must have strong content knowledge. So that means if you want to go into a content field like math or science or English language arts, you've got to have some content knowledge to back that up. So we want you to have that. Then you've got to be highly committed. So you must be someone who wants to put their all into their educational career and to give to the students. Want you to be able to be that take charge person in the classroom, and of course, overall, want you to be dedicated to helping our students succeed. Again, we want to empower them to be able to achieve what they want in life. A little bit more about what TAPP is. It is a non-traditional program. So you may hear that here and there as we go through the presentation. Non-traditional program just means that our program is not based in a college or university. So the traditional way would be going to get your master's or your bachelor's and then doing student teaching. Our program is non-traditional. We don't do it that way, but you still come out on the other side with the same teaching certification as someone going through a traditional program. What makes our program non-traditional is it's on-the-job training. So you are the teacher of record in the classroom, and you are learning how to become a teacher while you are starting off in the classroom. And then we also give you so much support in order to help you become that proficient beginning teacher that we want all of our people to achieve. Now, TAPP is not. It is not a program that leads to another degree. So as I said, you will receive a teaching certificate, but you will not receive another degree. All right, it's not appropriate if you have ever held a teaching certificate. So if you've had a teaching certificate, maybe in another state, or you taught way back when and you want to come back into the TAPP program, unfortunately, TAPP program is not for you. This does not take into account people who are on waiver certificates. So if you're on a waiver certificate, you're okay. It's not an easy route. TAPP is a rigorous program. It's a 2-year program, and within those 2 years, you are taking professional development courses at night, you are working to proficiency in the classroom, and you are going to be working with experts in the field to get you to where you need to be. But it takes a lot of work, and you'll come out on the other end so much better. And again, it's not going to replace a regular college teacher education program. So let's look at some of the TAPP commitments. If you've done your research for TAPP programs in the state of Georgia, you will realize that our program is the most cost-efficient program in the whole state of Georgia. And that means that we do not ask for any money up front. We will provide you the training, we will provide you the resources, we will provide you the support, and there's no cost involved with that. The only things that you are responsible for, financially responsible for, would be taking and passing the GACE tests. Those are those tests that measure your content knowledge and to make sure that you are sufficient to be coming into the teaching program. Also, we have a 2-week training program called TAPP Essentials. It's a non-paid training. So again, during that time, you would need to be make sure that you are financially stable enough to take on that 2-week training. All right. And again, remember, as I said before, please make sure that you are muted. If I have to mute you more than once, I may have to remove you from the meeting. So again, we don't ask for any financial, anything financial from you up front, but because we put so much into you and we create a proficient, fantastic beginning teacher, we want you to stay with Clayton County Public Schools to help our kids. So after you finish the 2-year TAPP program, we want you to stay with Clayton County for at least 3 years afterwards. So we know that life happens. You may have to move somewhere, life happens, things come up. Well, of course, you can go wherever you want, but we would want you to pay us back $1,000 for each year that you do not complete of that 3-year commitment. So if you, let's say, complete the TAPP program, that's that 2-year program, and then let's say you complete 1 year in Clayton County when you're not in the TAPP program, you would have 2 more years to fulfill that 5-year commitment. So if you were have to leave at the end of that 3rd year, you would have to pay back $2,000. But still, it is the best bargain out there because you get fantastic training. We are one of the top TAPP programs in the state of Georgia, and you still do not have to pay the amounts for other programs. So we are a steal. Now, we talked about some financial commitments. Let's look at some time commitments. Remember, as I said, Pre-TAPP Essentials is a 2-week training, and that happens before you step foot into the classroom. So again, that's time that you would have to set aside to be able to complete that training. Then you also have new teacher induction, and that new teacher induction is for any new teacher in Clayton County Public Schools. So you would go through that new teacher induction, which is usually a 3-day to a week training. And then, of course, remember, TAPP is a 2-year program. So we want you to let you know that you will finish the program within 2 years. As I said, when I was going over some of the information about the financial commitments and just the commitments for TAPP overall, it's a rigorous program. We will be teaching you everything you need to know about pedagogy, about how to teach effectively. And you'll be taking those courses in the evenings, but we also have summer courses as well, so that you'll be able to do those, have those 2 choices. And then everything that you need in order to succeed in the TAPP program, we will provide in Clayton County Public Schools. Now, I mentioned those courses, those professional development courses. These are the courses that you would need to take. These are the general courses. So we've got human growth and development, technology for educators, classroom management. We've got our identification of exceptional children, an assessment course, assessment for learning, nature and needs of the middle school learner. You have to learn that that interesting grade band where students are changing, and that class will really prepare you for teaching middle school learners. You'll also have a teaching of reading and writing course, a learning strategies course, a national program called CRIS, differentiated instruction, and then culturally responsive practices. How to be culturally sensitive and responsive to the many different cultures that you have within your classroom. Now, if you are a teacher that is on a waiver, guess what? You're already in the Clayton County Public School system, so you can start taking some of these classes and get them completed before you even come into the TAPP program. All right. So if you are in the Clayton County Public Schools system already, I would want you to go into our PD Express program, where you can register for the classes and register for some of these classes that you see on the screen. All right. At the moment, our classes are virtual. So we do have virtual meetings with our classes. We are deciding what will happen next semester and the semester after that. But for the moment now, all of our classes are online or virtual. Now, I mentioned that these are the general courses. So if you are someone who has content knowledge in a specific field like math, science, English language arts, social studies, these will be the courses that you will take. Now, let's say you don't have any specific content knowledge. That's fine. We have two different pathways that you can go into that do not require that those coursework. So, but because you do not have that content knowledge, we'll have to pay. You'll have to take more classes because we have to teach you how to teach those different content fields. So this is the first field that does not require any previous content coursework would be our elementary education pathway. And that's, again, for that kindergarten through 5th grade band. We do not do from pre-kindergarten in the TAPP program. So you'll have to take courses that will teach you how to effectively teach math, health and PE, social studies, and science. Okay, so you'll take those 4 classes at the top, and then you see those 3 classes at the bottom. You've got materials and methods of reading, reading and writing connection, and reading diagnostic and assessment. Elementary teachers have the weight of the world on their shoulders because you have to get our students reading proficiently before they leave your doors. So those courses directly deal with teaching reading. And if you see to the right there, it says reading endorsement. This is another great value with Clayton County TAPP program is you come out on the other side with your teaching certificate, but if you come through the elementary education pathway, you also receive a reading endorsement on your certificate. Usually in other districts, reading endorsements, you have to pay to take those endorsement classes. With Clayton County Public Schools, you don't have to. So again, one more great thing about the Clayton County Public Schools TAPP program. Our other pathway that does not require any content beforehand would be our special education pathway. So we see there, we got 6 different classes on the screen that you would have to take in addition to those general classes. All right. Now, of course, with all of these classes, we want to make sure that you are not going to be overly burdened with the classes at night. So we usually try to space our classes out. So you'll only be taking about 2 classes per night per week. So you see here for a sample schedule for someone who's coming into the TAPP program in that general field, and they have their, let's say, that math, science, English, social studies. They would be taking those general courses, and we see that there would be 2 nights a week that they would be doing coursework. So again, this is if we are doing virtual coursework. So it would be Tuesday and a Wednesday. We see Tuesday, assessment for learning. That class would meet for 5 weeks, 1 night a week for 5 weeks. And then identification, education, exceptional child is a class that runs for 6 weeks, okay? And again, right now, those classes are virtually face-to-face. So again, you'll be on Zoom at your home and you'll be doing the courses. Now, if you come into the program in one of those pathways that you do not have specific content background, you may have 2 to 3 nights that you would be doing courses. But again, we try to make sure that the classes are staggered and that you're not taking a ton of classes at any one time. All right. So, and then we see a sample special education coursework schedule here. Now, additional requirements for the TAPP program. You must complete all coursework satisfactorily. So again, you take our courses and there is work that you have to do in those courses, and that work must be done satisfactorily. For the TAPP program, you would have to maintain employment as a Clayton County Public Schools teacher. So that means that school that you enter the program in, you have to be able to stay at that school. So if the principal decides that maybe you're not a good fit, you're not working out, then you would be out of the TAPP program. And then very important, right, for our people who our coaches and like to do those types of things, because the TAPP program is so rigorous, you would not be able to really do any coaching or any other extracurricular activities. So for those 2 years in the TAPP program, you will not be assuming any of those things. All right, let's look at the application process. So this is going to give us a lot of answers about the application timeline, how to submit that application, and then the time turnaround for certain things. Now, the pre-application process. You have started that process by coming to a TAPP interest meeting. So you're finding out everything you need to know about the TAPP program. All right, so after we are done tonight, we want you to send us your unofficial transcripts along with what we call a TAPP interest form. And that interest form basically tells us what you want to enter the TAPP program in. So what field you would like to enter that in. And if you look in your chat box, you will have the link to the interest form, and you can download that at your convenience. What you'll do is take that interest form, fill it out, submit it to our selection committee with your unofficial transcripts. And then, of course, I will give you that email information in a minute. And again, please remember to mute yourself. All right, and then after we get that document with your transcripts, we're going to look at it, and then we're going to send you a GACE recommendation form. And that form will tell you every single test that you will need to take in order to apply for the program. Remember that all GACE tests must be passed before applications can be submitted. All right, so continuing on with that application process. So after you've done that part, you've gone and taken those GACE tests, you've passed them, then you'll go online and you'll create that online application and you'll go into the HR portion of the Clayton County Public Schools website. You'll already have that TAPP interest form into us, so you don't need to worry about that part. You will need to submit a resume, and then you will submit your GACE scores for your program admissions assessment. It used to be called the basic skills test, but it assesses reading, writing, and math. 3 different parts for that test. Now, everyone must take that unless you have one of the exemptions on the screen. So if you have your ACT scores and you took that way back and your English and math combined score is 43, then hey, you do not have to take the program admissions assessment. If you took the GRE and your verbal and quantitative scores combined equal 1030, hey, you do not need to take the program admissions assessment. And SAT, verbal and math score of 1080, all right? Now, prior to July 2019, the combined score is 1,000, but you don't need to really worry about that right now because most of us are before that. So that verbal and math combined score of 1080. And there is no expiration date on SAT, ACT, GRE scores. So I'll say that again. There's no expiration date on the SAT, GRE, or ACT scores. So continuing on, as I said, you'll submit those passing GACE score reports for those specific content areas in which you intend to teach. And again, we're going to tell you which tests for those content areas you need to take. You'll take also the GACE Educator Ethics Exam, and that's just a short, simple assessment that you take at home. And then at the time of your full application packet, we will need your official transcripts to all colleges or university attended, okay? Now, I am putting in the chat box a link to a application checklist. So you can look at that checklist and it indicates every single part that constitutes a full application packet. So you've got it right there. If you need help finding out information about GACE registration, you can go to the GACE website and you see that website on the screen. You can also go to the GAPSC, which is the Georgia Professional Standards Commission website, for questions about certification. Now, please understand, a bachelor's degree with a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale is preferred, but we will accept a minimum bachelor's degree of 2.5. That is required. There is no rounding up. So if you have a 2.45, it is a 2.45, and unfortunately our program would not be available for you, okay? So again, on that bachelor's degree, you must have at least a 2.5 GPA. Now, earlier I was mentioning specific content fields like math, science, social studies, English language arts, some of our CTAE fields, some of our art fields. So if you would like to come into the TAPP program in those particular pathways, you have to have content coursework to support you coming in. So that means that on your transcripts, you need to have at least 15 semester hours in classes that relate to that particular content field. All right. So for our middle grade certification, you would need 15 semester hours. For high school certification, you would need 21 semester hours. So let's say you have a degree in accounting. Okay, you would probably have enough credit hours in math to set you up to teach math on a middle grade level, okay? Let's say you have a degree in journalism. You more than likely would have enough credits to teach on the middle school level, but you might have enough to teach on the high school level. That's what the TAPP selection committee is going to do. We take your transcript and we scrutinize it, and we make sure that you have that content on that transcript to support you being able to come into the TAPP program and teach that particular content. Please note at the bottom, as I said before, this does not apply to special education nor elementary education, because we will teach you everything you need to know for those two fields. All right. So let's look at the interest form. Now, I put that link in the chat box. I will put that link in one more time for you, just so you can have it with you. If you have it pulled up, great. If not, you can look at the screen with me. This is the bottom portion of the interest form. Now, you see that you will write down your college, university, the city, state, degree type awarded, date degree awarded, major, and GPA. You put all that information in there for us. And then you see underneath that, you've got some boxes there. You've got a box for high school, box for middle school, and that third box are for those areas that fall outside or can be from kindergarten to 12th grade. So like our foreign language, our fine arts, things along those lines, okay? Overall GPA is what we look at. Now, you will mark two areas in which you would like to possibly come into the TAPP program in. So let's say I have a degree in interrelated studies. More than likely, I don't have enough credits in any one content area to support maybe teaching math or science or anything like that. So what are those two fields that are out there for everyone? Doesn't matter about the content if you have it or not. elementary education, and special education. So those two areas I would mark on my form and submit it to us with your transcripts to support, so we can go ahead and look at that. Now, let's say that I want to teach English language arts on a high school level. Remember, I need those 21 credit hours. So I need to make sure that my transcript supports that decision. Okay. If you are interested in ROTC, you can check that, and we will, of course, reach out to you to discuss those things with you. We don't take in many ROTC people, but we can have that discussion one-on-one. You do see also CTAE fields. Okay, so you're going to choose, if you're going to choose the CTAE field, which is our career and technical agricultural education program, you're going to need to write in the particular area that you're interested in. So if you check CTAE, you're either going to write in business education, marketing education, health science education, engineering and technology. Okay. We do have other CTAE fields, but I want to put out there just a warning. We do not, with CTAE fields, CTAE spaces are very limited. So that means you may apply, you may get into the TAPP program in that particular content area, but if there are no positions available in Clayton County at the time, then you can't enter the program. You would have to wait until a position becomes available. All right. And some of these particular CTAE fields come up with other measures that you have to submit in order to actually teach them. Okay. Fine arts, please list that the fine arts that you have a specification in, a specialty in, and put that there as well. Of course, we will look at your transcripts. Now, look at that last box. If you've taken GACE tests, which I'm sure many of you had, that's fine. Please type in the tests you've taken, and then affix your score reports for those GACE tests to your form and submit it to our office. Okay, right now everything's being submitted electronically, so make sure you have those PDFs of those score reports along with your interest form, along with PDFs of your transcripts, and you submit that all in one email. Please take note, if you are looking to come into the TAPP program starting at the beginning of the 2021-2022 school year, our deadline for all application packets, complete application packets, would be May 3rd, 2021, okay? May 3rd, 2021. Now that's in about 3 weeks. So if you have not already started the program, started the application process, you may not be able to make that deadline, but that's fine. You can continue the application process, and we do take in people in the mid-year. So that would be January, and you would come in for the second semester. So you still have an opportunity to come in that 2021-2022 school year. All right. And deadlines are tentative and subject to change. So if there is more of a need in the district after the deadline, then keep checking our website for updates, because we may have to open the deadline back up, but it doesn't happen very often. All right. Now, again, we look at your undergraduate degree for your GPA, the GPA when you graduated, when you had your degree conferred. All right, we will look at all of your transcripts for that content area. So let's say you don't have all of that, the content area on your bachelor's degree, but you have it on your bachelor's and master's, then submit them both. All right, but again, 2.5 GPA has to be on that bachelor's degree transcript. So application timeline. I'm going to go over this very quickly because we've kind of talked about it. First step, come to the interest meeting. You're here. Second step, submit your transcripts and your GACE interest form. Get that GACE recommendation. Take those tests that are advised on it. Submit your full application packet by for this part, our spring deadline, which is May 3rd. Then after that, we call you and we will do a TAPP program interview. If you pass that TAPP program interview, then you will be able to go to Clayton County Public Schools job fairs. You'll be able to reach out to principals to procure your a place in a school. We do not put you in schools. You have to interview and get those positions. After you've got that position, then you will complete our TAPP Essentials, new teacher orientation, and then you will start teaching. So when pre-planning starts at the end of July, you would be at your school doing pre-planning activities, and then day one of school, you will be that teacher in that classroom. Now, so I've been talking a lot about these application packets. Where do you send them? As I said, Ms. Teresa Marshall is going to become your best friend. So you will submit completed electronic packets. If you have a full application packet, you're going to send it to Ms. Marshall. She really wants you to make sure that you have all your required documents in one email. All right. You're also going to submit your TAPP interest forms and your unofficial transcripts to Ms. Marshall, and she's going to give you that GACE recommendation form. And remember, on that GACE recommendation form, it's going to tell you the GACE tests that you need to take. All right. We will accept packets through snail mail, but remember, we are back in our offices, but it's quicker to get that information to us through email. All right. And the address, if you need to send in your application packet through mail, is down at the bottom. So please make note of that, and I will come back to that later in the presentation if you have not taken it down. All right, certification. We know that a lot of our universities have switched to electronic transcripts. So if you are requesting an electronic transcript from your university or college, you need to make sure that that e-script, that electronic transcript, goes directly to Ms. Teresa Marshall. In order for it to be an official electronic transcript, it has to go to her. If it comes to you and then you attach it to an email and send it to us, that would be considered an unofficial transcript. So please make sure that you get her email address down, and when you're filling out the information for your e-script, make sure you put attention Ms. Teresa Marshall, and we will get that information and we will collect it. So in all reality, a full application packet in one email would be perfect, but we will accept those e-scripts in a separate email. Ms. Marshall creates files for every applicant to the TAPP program. So we'll have all that information for you. I spoke a little bit about those GACE tests that we're going to tell you to take. If you look on the screen, you can see some prices for those tests. So you got the program admissions test. You can take all three parts together, or you can take them individually. It just depends on the type of test taker you are. If you know you can sit down and knock them all out at once, then go ahead and take them all at once. If you know that you need to take them one at a time, then take them one at a time. All right. And then I mentioned that Georgia Educator Ethics exam. That is just a $30 fee, and you take that one on your computer at home. So you would need to check that GACE registration page from that email that we gave you about ETS, and to look for testing locations. And all testing locations are open. This is a screenshot of the GACE website. You need to prep before you go in and take these tests. You can get GACE test prep materials from Amazon, Barnes & Noble. If you go to the GACE website, you can take sample GACE tests just so you understand how the test will look, and for you to get a better understanding of how it's laid out. Please understand, all GACE tests must be passed in order to apply for the Clayton County Public Schools TAPP program. All of them have to be passed. All right. Very important, when you're signing up for the test, make sure you're paying attention to the testing windows. So these are the testing windows for the elementary education test, test 1 and test 2. Now, let's say you want to get into the TAPP program for right now for our August intake. You would see that the testing window has closed for the elementary education test. And because you see the score reporting date is April 30th. The next test window would open May 7th. So that would be after our deadline. So you would not be able to make the cutoff date for our application deadline for this, for the beginning of the 2021-2022 school year. But as I said before, you can still work on the application packet and get everything in by our next deadline, which has not been decided yet, but it will be in December. Okay. Again, these are special education pathway test windows that you need to pay attention to. Remember that special education, there are two different flavors of special education. You've got our general special ed, and then you have our adaptive special education. Remember that adaptive special education only goes, it will allow you to teach special education adaptive from kindergarten to 12th grade, because the cognitive ability of students that are in our adaptive special ed classrooms, it does not go above an 8th grade level. So you are actually able to teach the whole spectrum. With general special ed, with the general tests and the general reading, English language arts and social studies and math tests, you can teach from kindergarten to 8th grade. If you want to teach on a high school level, there's a different there's different rules for that, and we can of course talk to you one-on-one about those things. What you need to remember again is that everyone has to take that GATES program missions assessment, unless you have one of those exemptions that we spoke about, the SAT, ACT, GRE, those particular numbers. Everyone must take the GATES Educator Ethics Assessment. You must pass all GATES in order to apply for TAPP, and make sure that you are completing that application checklist. So I'm going to put all those links back in the chat box for you, so you can click on those and have those. I've also included a link to the Clayton County Public Schools TAPP website, so you can look at those things that are on our website regarding the application. Remember that Ms. Teresa Marshall is going to be your point of contact, so make sure you write down her email address, teresa.marshall@clayton.k12.ga.us. You want to make sure you send those those questions or queries to her. And remember, you're also going to send your TAPP interest form with your unofficial transcripts to her. And remember, that bachelor's degree must be at least a 2.5. And then you'll also submit your full application packets to her. Please take note of her phone number. It's 404-308-4457. Her office hours are from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So please make sure you call within that those time windows. And I've already given you the website to the Clayton County Public Schools TAPP website program, and you can go there and get information at your leisure. So that concludes our meeting. Please make sure if you have questions, you type them in the chat box. At this time, I will put 5 minutes on the timer, and we will take questions for the next 5 minutes. So if you have a question, you can come off mute and you can ask that question.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, I just have a quick question. So I am regarding the GATES test. I've already taken the elementary education test 1. So I would have needed to take test 2 as well.
That is correct.
Gotcha. So I'll just, of course, apply for December. Thank you.
Okay. And remember, we'll hold on to all of your information. So if you get that all done by, let's say, September, send it in. And then when it comes time for those TAPP program interviews, we'll send you an invitation.
Okay, so I wouldn't have to do another, once I do my interest form tonight and get that over to Ms. Teresa, I wouldn't have to do this again, just get my test scores in along with my transcript, correct?
That is correct.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great night.
Same to you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. If we've submitted unofficial transcripts, etc., through the interest form, but it was years ago. Do we need to resubmit that documentation?
What I would do is I would email Miss Marshall. We keep those files, but I would just email her and we would go through and look at that. Now, did you receive a recommendation form from us?
Yes, I did.
Okay. If the recommendation form was sent to you, that means we looked at everything and that you should be good to go. But send an email to Miss Marshall just in case.
Okay, second question.
Yes, ma'am.
So the first time around, I only had my bachelor's transcript, so everything went off of that. If I've had master courses, do I need to submit that transcript as well now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Ms. Hall asked a question, is additional time given for those who want to teach special education? Unfortunately not. Again, TAPP is a 2-year program, and we have structured it so that our special education applicants and our elementary education applicants that have additional coursework, you will be able to do that within the 2 years. Other questions, y'all? Good questions so far.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been a long-term sub, and previously, I think when I first became a long-term sub, we were required to take some courses. Will we be able to have those courses removed from the list of courses we have to take?
It depends on if the course was a course that that TAPP teachers will have to take. Do you know the name of one of the classes?
I don't remember, but I do know I was a interrelated teacher, and so we were taking courses from the DS department, and we came to the center in Jonesboro, I believe, when we took the courses in the evenings.
Okay. Well, what will happen is when you, if you are successfully admitted to the program, then you will, what will happen is we will look at